Hello, I'm Alexandra Taylor. I'm Director of Central Texas and National Recruitment for the Office of Admissions at the University of Texas at Austin, and it's my pleasure to be joining you today. If I've learned anything in my many years of working with students and families as they apply to colleges, it's that the more you know, the less stressed you'll feel. And so that is what we are here to do today. We are here to separate fact from fiction. We're here to learn more about the college application process, holistic review, essays, resumes, letters of recommendation, so that applying to college is less stressful because it should be a very rewarding experience. There is a lot of information out there, but there's also a lot of misinformation. So hopefully we can touch on some good places to get information as well. Now, when we think about information, misinformation, one thing that does come to mind is the idea of how students approach applying to college. And honestly, not every school is the same. Deep down, we do know this, but when we're applying to schools, students are often surprised that different schools have different requirements. So as you're beginning to explore schools and starting to narrow down your list, you're going to want to keep track of the different things that different schools are looking for, the same way you're keeping track of the different things that they offer. I find that keeping a spreadsheet can be very, very helpful in this regard. Sometimes a loved one will be more than eager to start keeping track of that spreadsheet. The very organized one. Very organized one will always be helpful in keeping this spreadsheet. So whether or not they are test optional, whether or not they offer interviews, just starting to keep track of these little bits of information, always keeping track of what their deadlines are, the more information you have, the more relaxed you're going to feel. Now, I mentioned before, interviews. Some schools do offer interviews, but while this is a fact for some schools, it's not a fact for all schools. If you have the opportunity to do an interview, I do always encourage students to take it. It's a wonderful chance for you not only to share more about who you are, but to get more information. Whether it's an interview with an alum, with a more senior student, which is a common practice in certain schools, or with a member of the admissions team, it's a wonderful way for you to have an excellent back and forth for them to learn about you and for you to learn more about them and their institution. Now, if a school does not offer interviews, for example, UT Austin does not, know that this is not a loss for you. You still have so many ways that you'll be able to share about yourself, in particular with your essay, which is why you should never attempt to use the exact same essay for every single school. Now, if it's the common application where it's an identical prompt, that is fine. That's a very different structure. But if you're attempting to use the same essay regardless of different prompts, this is where you're actually going to do yourself a disservice. Students often feel that they have to do an essay, when in actuality, it's more like you get to do an essay because you get to share your unique views, ideas, perspectives, your story, your background, your thoughts, your passions. And why would you want to miss out on the opportunity to share who you are and what matters to you? You shouldn't. Schools are very fortunate to get to have the opportunity to get to know you. Don't deprive us of that opportunity. Because if we don't get to know you, we can't really understand you and appreciate you and imagine you here on our campus. So reusing the same essay, it hurts you and it hurts us because we can't appreciate you the way you want to be and the way you deserve to be. Now, let's talk about the college application. Now, I always talk about the capital A application, and the lowercase a application. The capital A application are all of the pieces of the application in my mind, and the lowercase a application are things like Apply Texas, Coalition, and the Common Application. These are going to be the different vehicles where you capture your information and share it with different schools. The Common Application is used by many, many schools around the country. Coalition for College is used by a large majority of schools, though not as many as the Common Application. The Coalition for College does have a wonderful value set behind it, and UT Austin is very proud to be a part of that. And then the applytexas.org application is used by all the public and nearly all the private schools here in Texas. And UT Austin takes the Apply Texas application and the Coalition for College application. Now, you will find that some schools actually use their very own application. They don't use any of these three. So as you're going through, make sure you're paying attention. A school that you're very passionate about might have its own proprietary application, and if you're not paying attention, you could miss out on it simply because you don't see it on the Common App. Now, let's talk about what we are doing with these applications. Let me give you a little bit of insight into what the admissions office is looking for as they are reviewing. Now, there isn't one particular thing. There isn't some sort of, secret phrase that we're looking for in an application. When we're looking at a student's application, we are looking at them in their own unique context of who they are. Because even two students who attend the same high school and maybe are taking all of the same classes are still very different people. They've had different life experiences, they have different values, they are different clubs. Even if they're in the same clubs, they're still different people. And that's what holistic review is all about. It allows us to take that into consideration. It also allows us to take a look at students who are in different schools. Say, a student who might be in a school with a very unique educational style. That student is not going to be looked at against a student who's in a more traditional schooling environment as if they are one and the same. We're able to look at that student in their own unique and individual context and appreciate them as such. That's the beauty of holistic review. The more information we're able to have about a student, the more we're able to get that complete view of them. However, that also means that we are looking to you as the students to share with us everything you think that we should know. We only know what you tell us. Now, to use UT Austin as an example, here is a really great view of a checklist. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about that capital A application, all of the different pieces. So we're going to be looking for an application fee or a fee waiver. So if submitting the application fee is going to be a hardship for your family, there are multiple different ways that you can have that fee waived. You can go to your guidance counselor or another school administrator, and they'll be able to provide you with a fee waiver either from NACAC, from the College Board, from ACT, or the different schools that you're applying to may have their own fee waivers. UT Austin has its own available right on its website that you can print out and submit to us if you qualify. You will submit your actual application, and that's going to have a lot of information in it, not just your identifying information, biographical information, but it's going to be a place for you to collect all the clubs that you're in, the classes that you're taking in your senior year, honors, awards, and don't forget to include jobs that you have as well. Students often forget to include any employment that they have, and that is very, very important for you to share. You're going to want to include your essays and any short answer essays. In the Common Application, these short answer essays come a little bit later in the process. They're known as supplemental essays, and they will be specific to each of the different schools that you're applying to. And it's the same thing with UT Austin. Now, you'll also submit your high school transcripts. Students get very concerned about submitting their high school transcripts because they think back on their freshman year and they worry. They think, oh, I wasn't perfect. I didn't have the best grades. That's another part of holistic review. We're able to look and see that upward trend. We do always want to see the grades moving up. That's exactly how you want to see the grades moving too. Now, also bear in mind that your transcript is a reflection of your ability to do work, to get that project done. We're not looking at these just for A's, just for grades. We're looking to be able to be confident that you're going to be able to come to our university and be successful. That's what this transcript is for. It's not about just looking for A's, looking for a 4.0 or a 5.0 or a 6.0, depending on what your grading scale is, but just for us to feel confident that you're going to be able to academically succeed and thrive in our scholastic environment. Now, SAT scores and ACT scores, depending on what is happening, you may or may not be required to have SAT or ACT scores. At this time, UT Austin is not requiring these of students because it's not possible for our students to be able to take the test in a safe environment or to be able to get consistent test dates. At a different time, we may return to requesting these tests from students. Other schools are consistently test optional and do not require test scores from students, but otherwise will have to submit your test scores, either the SAT or the ACT. One thing that is good to know is that if schools do ask for test scores, they are only asking for one of those two. You will not have to submit both of them, I promise. Now, if you've taken college classes that are not reflected on your high school transcript, you can also submit those college transcripts so we can see the great classes that you've taken, how well you've done in them, the ways that you've challenged yourself, which is wonderful. It's going to be some more wonderful insight into the things that you're passionate about. And if you happen to be applying to programs that might have specific requirements, you do want to pay attention to that on the website. For example, again, to use UT Austin, we have a fantastic College of Fine Arts program here, and your application would not be complete until you had submitted your portfolio for studio art, until you had had your audition for music performance or theater or dance. And so you want to make sure that if you are going to apply to a specific program that has certain major specific requirements, that you are following through and getting that all done. Now, here at UT Austin, we do have some optional materials like an expanded resume and letters of recommendation. For other schools, these may not be optional, they may be required. For many schools, letters of recommendation are required, and we're going to touch on both of these in a little more detail. So when we think about that resume, thinking about, well, I did already list all of the clubs and activities that I did on my application. But sometimes we want to go a little bit deeper. On the application, we are listing how much time we're devoting to it, how many hours a week, how many weeks out of the year, how many years we participated, and whether or not we had a leadership role. But if it's a club that really matters to us, maybe something we founded, something in our community, or something that might require just a little more explanation, a resume is a great way for us to give that just a little more space, a little more detail, and a little more room. Also helps us to know that we've explained it in our resume, so we don't have to devote time and space in our essays to explaining it a little bit more. Now, if you are much earlier in your high school process, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to start writing everything down now. Every little award that you get, every club that you're in, if you start to write it down now, you are going to save yourself a lot of stress and pondering before your senior year starts, when you're wondering, what is it that I did that summer? When did I have that internship? What was that volunteerism that I did? Just start writing it all down now. Keep a document, keep something in your notes app, whatever you need to do. You will definitely, definitely thank yourself later. Now, when it comes to test scores, these are standardized tests that are a measure of your performance for 4 hours or potentially more on a Saturday morning, and they are required by many schools. However, we also do know that this is just one part of your application. You are submitting so many pieces, and your test scores are going to be one indicator of one part of your success. Perhaps it's going to demonstrate to us your ability in math. Perhaps it will demonstrate to us your ability in evidence-based reading, your critical thinking. But many students don't really thrive when it comes to standardized testing. And there is room for that too. And that's why there are so many pieces and so many ways for us to be able to appreciate you in the totality of the application process. Students often wonder, should I take a class? Should I get a tutor? How should I go about preparing for the SAT and ACT? My best piece of advice is always just to take lots and lots of practice tests. Get accustomed to the format till you're taking these tests as if it's your job. It's going to make you feel less stressed on test day. You're going to be more comfortable with the way that questions are structured. And honestly, you'll just feel a little bit better. Again, the more information you have, the more preparation you have, the less stressed you'll feel. As we're thinking about applying, we also do want to think about where we are applying to. Sometimes the supplemental essay questions are going to ask us why we're applying to a particular school or why we're applying to a particular major in the case of UT Austin. And one way that's really great for us to get to know a school is by visiting it. Now, with the global pandemic, it's become a little more difficult to visit in person, so there's lots of wonderful virtual options. And we don't always have to make a special trip to go and visit. Sometimes we can visit a school that's in our own city just to get a sense of what a big school or a small school might be like. Sometimes we can fit in a college visit when we're visiting family in another state. This is just a great way for us to plan, fit in a college trip, and to start to get that sense of whether or not this is a campus we could see ourselves on. Now, visits to colleges typically are considered an excused absence. So if you do go on a school day, make sure you get a note or you bring a form from your school to have it marked so that it can be an approved absence. Your schools do want to see you exploring different colleges, but they want to be sure that you're also following all of the rules. Now, letters of recommendation, as I mentioned, for UT Austin, these are optional, but for other schools, they will be required, and they will likely require who they're from. Current year teachers, individuals who are in your area of specialty that you're pursuing. So you want to be thoughtful about this, and you also want to be thoughtful about when you're asking. You don't want to ask at the very last second because then it's going to be a lot harder for your letter of recommendation writer to write really nice things about you when you've put them on the spot. So sometimes asking that summer right after your junior year, or asking in the spring of your junior year is a good time. Um, who should write your letter of recommendation? Someone who knows you well. Make sure you are sticking within the parameters of what's required of you by your application, but also don't always think that it has to be the teacher in the class where you got the A. Sometimes the teacher that has watched you overcome a struggle, sometimes the teacher who saw you go from the D to the B. We all would love to get the A, but sometimes we'll take that B, is going to be someone who can write about your maturity and your resiliency and give us insight into you in a way that a teacher who's just writing about your glowing accomplishments all the time might not be able to. Sometimes it's good for us to see that depth of character and see that grit. Now, when you are asking for that letter of recommendation, of course, we're going to be polite, but you should also make sure that you're sharing a bit more about yourself, your program, and the school that you're applying to with your letter of recommendation writer. The more information that they have, the better of a letter that they can prepare for you. If you're applying to a very specific program, it's good for them to know that so they can reference that throughout the letter, and that way everything will tie together. If, as you're going through this process, you are unsure about what it is that you might want to be studying or pursuing, or you find different things popping up, that's wonderful. This whole time is for exploration. There are different resources that are available to you all over the place. In fact, here at UT Austin, we have something called Wayfinder. It's available on our website where you can start to see all of the different interests that you might have and how that might correlate to different majors within our university. You might find similar things on other schools' websites. And remember that majors do not necessarily equate to careers because it's not just about your major. It's going to be about your majors, your minors, your study abroad experiences, your internships, your research, the relationships that you forge, and the network that you have. All of these things are going to contribute to your future success outside of the classroom. We want you to put who you are into your essays. And hopefully at that time, you'll have done a little bit of soul searching and figured out the right school for you and where you see yourself going with your academics. Maybe not necessarily your career, but definitely your academics. We want to get to know you. And that's why the UT Austin essay is all about that. Tell us your story. What unique opportunities or challenges have you experienced throughout your high school career that have shaped who you are today? One thing I often encounter with students is this fear that they don't have a big enough story to tell. Remember, your application is not being measured against anybody else's. You are being looked at in your own context, holistic review. So whatever your story is, it's important because it's yours. If it matters to you, then it matters to us. It could be something as small as learning that family recipe that's come down through the generations. Or it could be something really, really big, like literally scaling a mountain. It's up to you, but all that matters is that it's yours. And that's why it is good to check in with yourself as you're writing. Sometimes we like telling about people who have inspired us. And we get so caught up talking about them that we realize we've spent our whole essay focused on someone else. So remember to bring it back. What did this experience mean to you? What did this individual teach you about yourself? What values did they teach you that you carry with you? As you're writing, are you keeping your voice alive? If a friend picked up your essay, would they be able to hear you in it? Would they be able to recognize you? I know it's your college essay. I know you want to dash for that thesaurus, pick out the best words possible. I know you want to write as formally as you can. You're taking this seriously. But if you're someone who has a wry sense of humor, it's okay. You can throw a little bit of that sarcasm in there because that's who you are. You want to come alive on that page. You want to come alive to the person reading your application because they're trying to get to know you as a person. Students often get concerned that they could be telling a story that's similar to someone else, especially if it's a shared experience, like winning the state championship. If every senior on that team wants to write about it, how do you keep it from not being generic? Remember that it's still your perspective, your story. Find that way to make it yours. Find that way to keep it in your voice. You can do it. Just remember, you are the star of your application. I mentioned before, UT Austin has short answer essay questions, and many schools have supplemental essays. For us, we focused in on things that were really important for us to know about students because they're things that reflect our values here at the university. Because we asked students to apply directly to their major, we asked them why they've applied to it. This is a wonderful way for students to be able to express that they've always been interested in this major, or that it's a new passion, or that they view it as a stepping stone to their future career. Either way, these students have an opportunity to share in about 250 to 300 words why it is that they have selected the major that they did. We also care very much about leadership, but not just leadership in the traditional sense. We are very proud of all of our students who are Eagle Scouts and class presidents and club leaders and founders, but we know that leadership takes so many forms. Servant leadership in our communities, caring about our environment, helping with our siblings and ailing grandparents. We want to know what leadership means to you and how you exhibit it. So remember, when we have these supplemental essays, these short essays, we still want to apply these rules, keeping them about us, about what we value. Don't try to give a generic answer. Don't try to give us an answer that you think we want to hear. Give us an answer that's meaningful to you and reflective of you. Our third essay here is just one last opportunity to toot your own horn, fly your flag high. Tell us a little bit more about you, your unique perspective that you're excited to bring. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be the fact that you were raised in a military family, and as a result, you have a perspective that you think is different from other people, and you're excited to share that. So always remember, whatever it is that you have to say, it's worth saying, it's worth sharing because it's yours. Every school and college that you apply to will give you the opportunity as well to provide an essay that shares more about special circumstances. For us, we do include it as part of these short answer essays. And we also changed it this year to make sure we were also emphasizing COVID-19 and its impacts. But this is a place for you to express anything that you need for us to know to really understand the total context of your application. Maybe in your sophomore year, something tragic happened in your family, and as a result, there was a drop in your grades. Or maybe you really do struggle with standardized tests, and there isn't a place for you to be able to express that. And even though you've taken the test 4 times, you've never been able to make those scores correlate with what you have in the practice tests. this is your opportunity to share that with us, just so that we know and that you know that we know. We want to have that full sense of you. I know it can be difficult to share these things, but know that the information goes no further than us. It can be very brave to be very vulnerable, just like Brene Brown says. And Brene Brown happens to be a professor at UT Austin, so we're very lucky to have her. So just to recap, make sure you're answering that question. Be honest, show us who you are, reflect on those experiences that are significant to you. Again, you don't have to always have climbed a mountain. Don't tell us what you think we want to hear, because what we want to hear is you. And don't try to use the same essay for every single prompt, unless it's an identical prompt, and then that's okay. Now, the biggest piece of advice I've always given to students is reminding them that you cannot possibly be admitted to your dream school unless you submit your application on time. So here, just by way of example, is UT Austin's application timeline. Our application opens on August 1st. Our deadline, final deadline, is December 1st. And then students have until May 1st to let us know if they will be joining us on the 40 acres. Now, every school is going to be different. Some schools will have early decision and early action. UT Austin does not have those. Early decision is a way in which you apply to a school, and through applying early decision, you are indicating, if I am admitted here, this is the only school I will attend. You have to withdraw your application from all other schools. Applying early action to a school is a way of saying, I would love to attend this school, but it is not binding. So you apply early and you'd find out early, and you're in different separate pools and you might have a different chance of admission. Here at UT Austin, we do not have any of those. From August 1st to December 1st, you have the same equal opportunity of admission. However, you may learn of your admissions decision a bit earlier if you apply by November 1st as opposed to December 1st, because we have a lot of applications to review. Now, there are so many people who are there to help you, and the best thing that you can do is let them help. You do not have to go through this process alone. Whether it's teachers, guidance counselors, admissions counselors, we are all here to ease you through this journey. Everyone wants to make sure that you have all of the resources that you need, all the information that you need. It's online. If you come to visit us on campus, we'll provide you with as much help and insight as we can. But even if you can't make it, there are so many virtual options. We have opportunities to connect with our tour guides if you're looking to get a sense of the student experience at UT Austin. And I know that many other schools around the country offer so many similar opportunities as well. But know that you do not have to go through this alone. And if you want to connect with us, please reach out. This is what we do, and we are thrilled to do it. I'm located here on campus. I'm very proud to be, but we also have amazing colleagues located right in Dallas. They have a wonderful office there. We've got an office in Houston. We have an office down in the Valley, but we also have counselors located right in Corpus Christi, in Laredo, in El Paso, and in Tyler, Texas, and in San Antonio. And if you are from outside of the great state of Texas, all of our staff is here to help you as well. So know that you can reach out to us. We're here to make this journey easier. The more information you have, the less stressed you will be. So reach out, get that information, feel less stressed. Hook 'em horns.